everybody. I hope you're having an awesome day. I am here, still in Virginia countryside. It's just a rainier day today, and I want to talk about negative emotion today. And in my previous videos, I've been talking about how I want to be authentic and transparent in the sense that, I don't just want to project the image of that being spiritual is all puppies, sunshine, roses, that kind of thing, because I think that that can lead to some really difficult expectations of ourselves, and it's not all about that. It's really about contrast and about using contrast to inform your experience. So this is a quote that is from, I was watching the Teal Scott New York workshop from this past weekend. I was watching that on live stream, and I'll post a link so you can watch it as well. And sometimes just a simply worded phrase can just hit you, and all of a sudden it just like integrates with your whole being. That's what happened for me. So I'm going to share that with you. So, this quote: negative emotion is always the indication that there's an expanded version of the reality you're living, and you just need to line up with it. Right? Okay. So, this kind of brings it back to thinking about things in terms of cycles. There was also a fantastic spirit science video about cycles and sine waves that I can link to as well that was very helpful. But basically, I kind of am viewing negative and positive emotion in this different way of kind of riding this wave almost, of where when you're getting that negative emotion, so your emotions are good, they're not something to squelch or not trust, they're great. They show you if you're in alignment or not. Well, negative emotion, when you're experiencing that, that doesn't mean like you're doing a bad job being spiritual. That simply means that the reality that you've been inhabiting, there's something about it. It's like you're ready for the next step. You're ready for the next expansion. And so, right, so there's an expanded reality, version of the reality that you've been living in, and you need to align with it. So basically, it's showing you. This is like brilliant. Okay, so every negative emotion that you have relative to something, the reason why it's coming up in that moment is because all you need to do is to focus on what it is that you can expand and move into like the next era of it, basically. Whoa, if you can think of it that way, you can start removing the idea of blame or feeling guilty or feeling bad for being negative or thinking, shit, I'm out of alignment, like I'm supposed to stay in alignment. Well, really, we're moving into our next alignment through it. Holy moly. I mean, this is one of those things where it's like, we all have different phrases that just hit us and like, whoa, everything makes sense. This is one of those for me. Everything is coming together for me. Because, after getting out here, I was having out to Virginia, for those of you who haven't watched all my videos, I moved here from Minneapolis and basically, saved up some money, quit my job, moved out here. It's brilliant and gorgeous, and I love this area, and I was just on this absolute high of that fact that my partner and I manifested that reality, that we allowed that. That we stepped into that realm, and it felt like that. It felt like this really magnificent, wonderful expansion. And so it was just, I was totally wrapped up in that for, at least a few days. And we had a little downtime because we really needed that little downswing of just taking care of ourselves and getting our little space set up and all of that. And I think that because, we think of like all of this excitement and, of being the real like work, the spiritual work, or like all of the like exciting like breakthroughs and blah blah blah. kind of what we look for a lot of the time, especially myself. But in this circumstance, I was feeling things start to settle, and I was kind of starting to ask the question, okay, so there's this impulse in me to balance out my enthusiasm and my connectedness by being like, well, we gotta be realistic, like we gotta look at the finances, and we gotta see where we are, and we gotta check our limitations, and it's kind of just not really aligning with what my new reality is. Like, it's just, I'm not thinking in terms of like, okay, we have to be realistic and look at our limitations. I want to say, like, what am I grateful for in my life? How can I expand on that? How can I attract more of, what I'm enjoying into my life? Not like, oh God, I don't like this thing. I don't like this thing. Let's focus on it and worry about it. Like, no, I'm not interested in doing that. So, but I was starting to, to go a little bit down that route. And then I listened to that quote by Teal, and I can see that I'm ready for expansion in the areas which maybe that I have some negative emotions relative to, and now all I really need to do is to use that. It's like having a magnifying glass. It's like, basically, the idea of like oneness is everything is happening right now in this moment. Linear time, that's a kind of a construct placed on top of our reality and blah, blah, blah. So everything is happening all the time. We have access to everything, all perspectives, all of that. But we use focus in this dimension, in this reality plane of existence, as a vehicle for growth, as a way to understand ourselves and expand ourselves. And so that focus, when you're feeling anything specific, like a negative emotion, and then you trace it and you see what it's attached to, you gotta pay attention to it, because it's gonna help you grow in that way. Because I think sometimes we get so overwhelmed with like our entire lives and how to organize it and how to take the first step. Well, maybe we can start with some of our negative emotion, with tracing some of that, seeing where it's rooted, not being too freaked out by it, by being able to say, I'm feeling this because I'm being given the opportunity to expand and to have a focused idea of where that expansion is coming. Yeah, right? Okay. So I'm going to go forth with my rest of my day holding this in mind. And if this speaks to anybody else, I hope that you leave a comment, respond, link me to things you're interested in, that you're writing, reading, whatever. Let's, create community around sharing these ideas and love. So thank you. Have a wonderful day.